It's the e-commerce master plan podcast. Here to help you solve your marketing problems and grow your e-commerce business. Cutting through the hype to bring you inspiration and advice from the e-commerce sector and beyond. Here's your host, Chloe Thomas.
Hello, welcome. It is awesome to have you here. In today's episode, we are exploring two massive trends of the moment. So we're talking to a marketplace, because obviously there's an awful lot of marketplaces these days around being started and being grown, focusing on different niches or niches of consumers. In this case, we're talking about consumers who want to buy more sustainably, which is a fast growing niche. And we're also talking about sustainability, what it takes to make your business net zero or sustainable, what that might mean. We're talking about how you get the message over to consumers, the type of consumers who are currently responding to these messages. And of course, this is a marketplace you may choose to list your products on because it will help you grow your sales. We are going to get into that and some excellent tips in a moment. But before we do all that, please do check out our sponsors.
I am Alexandria Collis, Director of Customer Experience for Princess Polly. I'm focused on our strategy and innovation in the CX department here at Princess Polly. I have a quote, and I always tell our CX leaders that customer experience is the heart of an organization, and we pump the blood and deliver the oxygen to the vital organs in the business to help them thrive and grow stronger. The Gorgeous platform allows our agents a seamless place to just do it all. We are really there for the customer every step of the way if they want. Our customers expect quality and efficiency where they are. So the real question is, how do you get quality and efficiency across every single platform? And then once you have it, how do you maintain it? And I believe that with the Gorgeous platform, we can do that. If you're interested in learning more about Gorgeous, go to gorgeous.com and mention podcast for 2 months free.
And now to introduce today's special guest. Joe Darwen is the founder of VO, Europe's most sustainable online shopping destination. It's a marketplace with over 200 independent brands selling over 50,000 unique products across fashion, beauty, food, drink, and home. Started in 2019, they've been perfecting their model and the technology that powers it, relaunching the final version in September 2021, which is now growing 30% on month. Hello, Joe.
Hi, Chloe. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here, and congrats on the success of your platform thus far. I can't wait to see where it goes in the future. But I've just given our listeners a super quick overview of what you're up to. How did you get into this particular e-commerce journey?
Great question. I suppose going way back when I was like a teenager, 13, 14, I was messing around with the early web, and I started an eBay company, signed up as an eBay, and I was selling CDs and DVDs when that was a thing. That was where it starts. And then I suppose to do the short version, about 7 years ago, I was working at Department for International Trade, or UKTI as it was known then, leading a program called e-exporting. So on that program, what we did as a government program was support UK SMEs and businesses to increase their e-commerce sales by cross-border. So we partnered with over 40 of the big platforms, obviously eBay, Amazon, Alibaba, all the big ones. And it was that journey where I really kind of got into the e-commerce kind of thing. And it obviously then led me to do a marketplace.
Quite the long journey to getting there. What led you to decide that your marketplace was going to be about helping consumers buy more sustainably? Because there's loads of different ways you could have gone about it. What led you to go down that niche?
I think even way back then, you could see that sustainability was on the rise. Personally, for myself, I was kind of getting really into it, seeing the kind of early pangs of the climate conversation, all that sort of stuff. So it was really hard. So initially, like many businesses, I couldn't shop the way I wanted to. I couldn't find, organic hoodies or food and drink or beauty. So I thought, right, okay, let's start a marketplace. And I couldn't find one that was doing it. So that's where it came from.
Yeah, it's one of those areas where there's a definite kind of economy of scale of if one company can pull it all together in one space, it saves thousands of consumers doing all their own individual research and just streamlines that buying process, which I guess hopefully means that more of the consumers actually manage to complete a sustainable purchase rather than giving up and just buying the first hoodie they see.
Yeah, that's exactly one of the problems that consumers do have. It's that, so I don't know, should we coin sustainable fatigue?
I like that, sustainable fatigue.
Yeah, they're going online and you hear all these stats, which are validated that, 9 out of 10 consumers want to shop sustainably. If you stop them in the street and ask the answer, but actually the value action gap and what can actually be achieved is more like sort of 30% or 3 out of 10. And it's because of these problems. They don't know where to go. I suppose those challenges that existed back then exist now with even more urgent and vital, because we've got like this greenwashing. Big brands and stuff, they'll basically tell porkies, and it's up to the consumer to try and navigate that, which is really hard. So we thought, there's another added value in a platform that brings everything in one place and then does the research for you.
And that must be, to keep that as the USP for your business when you've got 50,000 unique products and 200 independent brands, that's quite a lot of workload for your team to make sure you're only letting the right brands on and that, that none of those brands go rogue, I suppose. But clearly thoroughly worth investing in too.
No, definitely. That is an ongoing process, but we've got kind of automated checks and things in place now, a bit of machine learning and stuff, so it'll flag up keywords. We've got a technology system that pulls products in from the brand sites, like if they've got a Shopify or Magento, we have those integrations, and it flags certain words, and then it'll sit in our back-end tool and we'll kind of go, oh, hang on, let's have a review. So it is a challenge, but we make sure we can keep on top of it by giving our team the tools and stuff to constantly review that. If that's our USP, we need to be definitely on top of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the definitely worth doing in the, big old tick box against that one. So where in the world is your business based and where are you currently selling to?
We're in sunny Manchester and we sell worldwide with a caveat of we currently focus our marketing campaigns in the UK. So we're focused on the home market, but we do, just because of kind of SEO and other promotions and stuff, we get international customers and our brands, some of which are international, based worldwide, but we're in Manchester focusing on the UK, certainly for the next 12 months. And then we envision the kind of internationalization strategies and stuff, but that's all to come.
Well, four months in as we record this to the kind of semi-final version of your proposition going live. Yeah, I think a year of perfecting it in the UK before rolling out more aggressively internationally makes a lot of sense. And clearly with your experience at UKTI or DIT or whatever we're calling it these days, you've got the knowledge to definitely take it in that direction. So what led you to select the products which you're focusing? So I said in the intro, it's fashion, beauty, food, drink, and home. 5 huge categories, but obviously a lot of things not included in there. So what led you to those 5 categories?
I think we looked at the lifestyle of someone who wants to live sustainably or a conscious consumer and think, what do they need on a day-to-day? We thought fashion, beauty, food, and home really summarizes it sort of end to end and what the consumables we need day to day. And that encompassed it, we think. A couple of things we don't do, which is kind of like, or yet I should say, like the electronics and those kind of things. You couldn't buy a laptop or a large screen TV or a blender or something like that. But I think that's also something coming and it's harder to assess those. So I think these products encompass the needs of a modern sustainable consumer and also have a more straightforward path, let's say, to assess the product and the supply chain and stuff.
And you mentioned, obviously you've got the team who are vetting and bringing on board your brands, but what does the team look like in the business at the moment? Because it's I'm assuming it's not you doing everything. So are you doing everything in-house? How many of you are there? What are you outsourcing?
Currently, I'd say 100% in-house. We've got a team of 10, including myself, 4 of which are software engineer developers, our tech team. And then we've got brand relationship managers and marketeers who kind of do all the rest of it, I suppose, including the admin. But the three departments, marketing, brand, and tech, we all sit on the same few tables and have a really good culture, as where whatever each other's building or working on, we're all aware of it and know why we're building that. So yeah, just 10 of us at the minute.
Very nice. And, the thing with a marketplace is always the chicken and egg of, do you need the customers to get the products? Do you need the products to get the customers? Now, clearly, you've been very successful at getting the products on board. You've got over 200 independent brands, 50,000 different products. So I'm going to kind of park that and talk about the other part of the chicken and egg scenario, which is the customers. Do you find that you are appealing to the consumer who's already educated about the fact they should be making sustainable choices, but wants to fast track their decision-making process? Or are you appealing to, and re-educating consumers who just want a great hoodie, some great toiletry products?
I'd say we're on a sort of 70%. That feels like when we do our personas and look at our audience and stuff, they're sort of pretty educated, but they're certainly not kind of a super eco warrior in that sense. And that I think is quite nicely reflective, perhaps, to make an assumption of the wider population, in that the ones who want to make better sustainable choices don't know it all, but they know some. So perhaps, like you say, they won't get caught up in any greenwashing claims from some other companies. They know that much. But then they also will be fascinated to know why this handbag is sustainable, and it's Pinatex, what on earth is that? It's pineapple leaves, who'd have thought, type of thing. So there's kind of a mid section.
You said about the sustainability fatigue and give up. I think there's also, if I think about my own buying activities at the moment, there's certainly the sustainability confused. It's like, this product's made from that and this product's made from this. They both have good points and bad points, but this one's more recyclable, this one isn't, but how long am I going to keep? And you kind of end up in this kind of vortex of confusion as a consumer when you're trying to make a good decision, even between two theoretically sustainable products. So I think, just the ability to help solve the confusion whilst also getting a bit more education at the time must be quite appealing to the consumer.
Hopefully that's one of the problems we can solve. It's interesting you say that, because I suppose this is where we break down sustainable as a word, because people slap it on a lot of stuff, but we've included about our 3 pillars. So that, I suppose, breaks down what we perceive sustainability to mean. And then if we communicate that to our customers, then they're more educated and kind of it resonates more clearly. I understand now it's not just one element. For example, this company plants a tree for every order, which is an incredible thing to do. But if they're selling X, whatever,
oil in a bottle,
yeah, something like that. So it's those kind of things, which is great, because it's not too hard to explain. But once they see it, it's like, see, okay. So sustainable can be used as a really broad term, but actually when you get into it, there's a couple of things that make it sort of tick a few more boxes.
Yeah, because there is, and I'll get you to in a second to explain your 3 pillars, because it is one of those interesting things. You kind of, this is a very sustainable brand, but they're still making their product in a sweatshop. Does that work? Or, they're a brand who, yes, this is some very sustainable, high fat content chocolate, but it's probably not going to do me a lot of good if I eat a kilo of it. So there's those kind of balances as well, which I guess is why we come back to your 3 pillars. So could you explain a bit about those 3 pillars, which I guess is kind of could equate it to a values piece, I suppose?
Yeah, so our 3 pillars is kind, healthy, sustainable. Kind being the ethics, obviously, for people and animals in the supply chain. Health being for the individual, but also the kind of wider, so toxins and pesticides and all sorts of stuff. And then sustainable just being the bigger environmental picture. But it's good examples you gave then of a T-shirt and chocolate. Because an organic T-shirt, organic cotton, organic hemp, organic bamboo, brilliant. But if it's made in a sweatshop, then it's not so good. And then with the chocolate, it could be, let's say, I wouldn't have any problem with a high sugar content, but let's say it was organic sugar, fair trade. Okay, brilliant. So the farmers are paid and it's great and it's all that sort of stuff. However, it's 90% cane sugar. this is this is not going to be so good for me. But those kind of things. So we try and get a balance across the three to make sure that there's so that's what we deem sustainable, an umbrella over those three things.
I'm sure many people will go to the website and have a look at how you've done it, but it does make it feel very reassuring to the consumer. Okay, this is the filter through which I'm viewing the products on this website, and they've been filtered already. This is what it stands for, so I can buy with confidence without having to, for those who aren't full eco warriors can just go, this is all going to be sustainable, I'm fine. Those who have eco warrior levels on different things may need to do a bit more, but it's going to help the majority. And I suppose that comes back to that kind of middle 70% you're talking about, those who want to do better, but just need a bit of a helping hand along the way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we like to hear from the eco warriors because they're fantastic. They ask some really good questions, and we like to think we can respond most of the time and say, yeah, absolutely, this is answers the query, and we're still on side. But yeah, it's great to know that it is feels digestible, so that someone sees it and say, actually, yeah, I've got trust. That's what it's all about, I think, is that we've had the independent verifications from a lot of the platforms, whether that be Ethical Consumer and B Corp and stuff. But then we just want to be able to communicate that at a sort of first sight. So if it feels trustworthy, of course, these can be verified and checked. And then it just kind of, that's the UX side. Hopefully the consumers think, yep, I'm comfortable with this and how they've set it up.
Because your footer is a world of beautiful trust marks. It has to be said. I lost count of quite how many there were, but as you mentioned, you have done the B Corp certification. I think you're in the top 5% of global B Corps, and you've been most ethical online retailer for 3 years running on Ethical Consumer. So you have those trust marks and that social proof, to give the consumer the additional backing. How hard is it to keep the standards up for those things? I know a lot of people listening are like, yeah, I want to get on that. I want to, get those boxes ticked, be able to tell our customers, get that external proof that what we're doing is the right thing. But I think a lot of certainly smaller businesses shy away from it because they're a bit worried it's going to take a lot of time and effort. So is it easy to keep the standards up and keep those trust marks in place? Obviously, it's essential for your business, but would you recommend it to others?
Two things. Is it easy? Maybe it's not easy. It's an ongoing challenge that we keep on top of. But because it's sort of in our DNA as a company, it's sort of, it's vital and part of our everyday activities. I definitely recommend to other companies. I mean, the B Corp can certainly be quite a challenge, but there's B leaders who can help sort of facilitate that with companies. Ethical Consumer are fantastic. They're a 30-year-old sort of research organization with a magazine.
Wow.
And whatever your sector or category as a product business, whether that's t-shirts, chocolate, coffee, internet providers, they rank everything, washing machines. You can go and say, I'd like to have a review, and they'll work with you, any business, and say, this is what you can look at. And then they have like a best buy, and then they do annual, they're called rankings and stuff. And yeah, I'd definitely recommend it because it's not as arduous as perhaps people think. I think when you kind of take a step back, certainly with someone helping you with it, and they can say, okay, these are 4 core areas we're going to work on, and these are the activities, and we're just going to do X, Y, and Z. But not only does it it's great for business owners to have the chance to step back and work on the business, because, we all know what it's like when you're in the business day to day, it gets on top of you. So that's a nice chance to work on the business and have some oversight. And then, of course, that's something you can tell your customers. This is what we've done. This is why we've done it. This is why you can trust us more. You can tell your friends. And then it becomes a kind of promotional tool because people are talking about you.
Often if we at least get the signposting or someone telling us what to do, it makes the whole process so much easier, because most of us don't need to learn how to become a B leader. We just need to do the work to become the B Corp, if that makes sense. So, Joe, with the huge potential there is at the moment, I think, clearly you think, because you're building a marketplace in this space for consumers, to help consumers buy more sustainably. Do you think this is something every e-commerce business should be following your footsteps of at the moment?
I'd have to say that it would be nice ultimately that every brand in existence would what's it called when you get approved by VO, they're eligible for a VO shop. But I think the trends and the data and the whole thing is pointing towards, certainly, whether it's at government level and COP26 and everything else all the way down, I think it's probably going to be something where the earlier you get on board, the more advantage you're going to be able to gain from it, because it's going to be an inevitable end game, I suppose. I would definitely say. Just like a lot of things in history, it tends to be like, who were the first movers? And everyone's now there. It's going to be something like that. So in e-commerce, I think every year it gets more kind of urgent to ensure that you're on side with various, initiatives and stuff.
And with all that's going on in your business at the moment, what's the most awesome thing?
Well, the scaling the platform. That's one thing. Having spent all this time developing what we're doing and onboarding amazing brands and all that sort of stuff, it's getting out there. We spent 18 months kind of building behind the scenes. So the most awesome thing is now we're out there and doing it all in public and seeing the growth and the feedback and the response. So, yeah, I wish I had something to say like, some big announcement or something, but that's literally
No, but that's a huge moment in any startup's life when the pressure comes slightly off the tech team and gets put firmly on the shoulders of the marketing team. It's a big moment and a big opportunity, because it's when when you really prove the concept.
Just to say on that though, that's where I think we've got a culture where the responsibility doesn't move department to department and say, right, tech guys, you're done. Marketing, off you go. To get into sort of a bit of e-commerce talk, things like conversion rate optimization and customer acquisition cost and lifetime value and all these things, they're sort of intrinsically linked to the platform itself. So making these changes, so marketing can of course shout about and optimize all our channels and paid and organic and SEO and all these cool things. But then on the tech side, we're going, how can we increase the basket size? How can we improve navigation for customers to find what they want? How can we make it easier to check out, or payment methods? So all at once, no one ever stops. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I think we just shift focus, and that's what we've kind of done. And it's now really cool because we're working towards these metrics, which is nice because you sort of gamify your role, and it's nice to see the activities you're doing be reflected in, uplift of these things that you measure.
E-commerce Master Plan is supported by some of the greatest companies in the e-commerce sector. Here's a reminder of who they are.
Getting an online business off the ground is not easy. So if you find yourself working late, tackling a to-do list that's a mile long with your 5th cup of coffee by your side, remember, great email doesn't have to be complicated. That's what Klaviyo is for. It's the email and SMS platform built to help e-commerce brands earn more money by creating genuine customer relationships. Once you set up a free Klaviyo account, you can start sending beautiful branded messages in minutes, thanks to drag and drop design templates and built-in guidance. And with e-commerce specific recommendations and insights, you can keep growing your business as you go. Get started with a free account at klaviyo.com/masterplan. That's KLAVIYO.com/masterplan. Easy accounting for e-commerce is on hand. Cinder helps you track all your transactions and inventory across multiple sales channels in a click. With Cinder, you can seamlessly connect all platforms and automatically generate accurate profit and loss reports, balance sheet, and cash flow statements to find the hidden streams of income and optimize your resources. Multi-currency, discrepancy-free reconciliation, and more than 30 integrations are available, with 10-minute user-friendly onboarding and 24/7 support. As if all that wasn't incentive enough to check Cinder out, you can get a 40% off coupon and e-commerce checklist by going to cinder.me/masterplan. That's synder.me/masterplan.
It's time for the top tips round.
Okay, I love this section because it gives me and our listeners some really quick ideas for taking our businesses to the next level. So, Joe, are you ready for the top tips?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, we've got the book top tip. If everyone listening to this podcast agreed to take Friday off and read a book to make their business better, which book would you recommend?
I'm going to say Blitzscaling, written by Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, and some other people. And it's just talking about kind of these massive, huge businesses and how they get such scale, going from 1 to 10 trillion in 10 years. But it's not just for those businesses. It's really intriguing how those businesses think and, learn a bit about the stories, behind Airbnb or Uber and these kind of things. So that's, it's a good read.
Excellent. We'll always take a good read. Okay, the traffic top tip. Which marketing method do you either prize above all others or think doesn't get the press it deserves?
I'm going to say partnership, outreach, and collaboration, because it's kind of an undefined channel. And I suppose all it means is reaching out to aligned businesses or ventures or organizations, and each leveraging each other's audiences. So I think that's something that we really find a lot of traction with. If you're not competitors, or even if you are, if you sell t-shirts and someone you know sells pants, do a giveaway, do a bundle, kind of things like that, which I think is less kind of talked about, I think.
It is less talked about, and I keep trying to talk about it whenever I can because it's such an untapped, huge opportunity to increase customer acquisition. I love the fact you've shared that tip. The tool top tip, maybe a collaboration tool, a social media plugin, a phone app, or just a way of working. Is there a cool little tool you use that makes you and your team more efficient from day to day?
I was going to say Slack on this, but I'm sure a lot of people use that.
It is the most popular choice for this particular question. You're allowed a second one if you want to add another one in.
So I was going to move to ClickUp. Some people haven't heard of it, which is really surprising. I hadn't heard of it till last year, and our front end developer came in and said, "This is what they use." So a lot of people know Asana or Monday and all these kind of task things, but ClickUp is it's the one we use and we find the best.
Oh, cool. I haven't heard of it, so I'm a bit of a junkie for an Asana type tool, so I have to go and have a look at that one. Okay, the last one, the growth top tip. If you met someone today who's focused on growing their e-commerce business from 100 orders per month to 1,000, what would be your number one tip for them?
I would say review my other 3 tips. I think it's hard to do this in a small tip. I think it'd be kind of taking a step back and finding out, okay, how do I get these 100 and how can I 10x that? I think the cross-pollination collaboration thing is really good because if argument's sake you leverage some audience, 10 other audiences with aligned brands or organizations, there's a 10x. So unfortunately that's not as concise as the others, but I'll scratch it.
It was good value, so we'll take it. Joe, thank you so much for being on. Before we say goodbye, though, could you let the listeners know where they can find you and your business on the web and social, please?
Yeah, definitely. Our website is found at veo.world. That's VEO. And that's actually our social media. So Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, veo.world. That's where we are. It'd be great to kind of connect with everyone, whether shoppers, brands, see what they think.
And I believe you've got an offer for anyone who wants to come shopping?
Definitely. If someone uses Master Plan on the checkout, they can redeem a £10 credit.
Very nice. And are you actively on the lookout for new sustainable brands to list at the moment?
Yeah, always. We're probably on board sort of 5 or 6 a week, which is really exciting because it just increases the value of the platform for consumers. So always. If anyone thinks they know another brand, definitely refer them to veo.world/join and kind of register their interest.
Excellent. Well, hopefully a few of our lovely sustainable listeners will be getting in touch so you can help them sell some more product. Joe, thank you so much for being on the E-commerce Master Plan podcast. It's been excellent catching up with you, and I'm sure we're going to have you back in the future to see how things are going. So thanks for being here.
No, thank you. It's great. No, definitely I'll come back.
So some really interesting insight from someone who's all about selling to the conscious consumer, the conscious buyer. And a great opportunity for, if you are already selling sustainable products, somewhere else you could go about selling those to your target audience, a bit of a partnership, if you like. You can get your hands on the notes from today's show, including the top tips and links to what we've mentioned, by heading over to ecommercemasterplan.com/podcast. There you can also add yourself to our email list so you don't miss out on any of the many other things I share to help you improve your business. Now, I interviewed Joe today because he was recommended as a guest by Jessie Ragg. Thank you, Jessie, on a LinkedIn discussion we were having. Now, if you know someone you think would be a great guest for the show, I would love to hear from you. And you can do that in two different ways. Either you can get them to fill in the form at ecommercemasterplan.com/guest, which is where we send all our guests so we can get all their details and manage them onto the show. Or you can always tell me via any of the contact methods you have for me, including Twitter or LinkedIn. Please do send me your guest recommendations. And of course, if you want to be a guest on the show, head to ecommercemasterplan.com/guest to apply yourself too. Thank you so much for tuning into this and every episode of the E-commerce Master Plan podcast. I bring you a new interview every week because I want to inspire and help e-commerce business owners to succeed and thrive with their businesses. So if you know someone this show can help, please do tell them to listen to the E-commerce Master Plan podcast. I hope you have a great week, and don't forget to keep optimizing.
Thank you for listening to the E-commerce Master Plan podcast. Find out more at ecommercemasterplan.com/podcast.
If you're marketing an e-commerce brand, you already know that data changes everything. More data means more power. And if your email or SMS tools can't handle all that data, they're probably holding you back. That's where Klaviyo comes in. Its top-notch personalization and segmentation help you send the right message at the right time, guided by unlimited real-time data from your online store and tech stack. Request a demo at klaviyo.com/masterplan. That's KLAVIYO.com/masterplan.